couple of days ago, I was texting with my dear daughter-in-law, who is a professor, and she was telling me how blown away she'd been by one of the responses that she'd received from one of her high school age students on this assignment that she'd given them. She had asked them who had been most influential in their lives. And this one kid had said, Paul McCartney. And I said, oh my gosh, that's great. Why was Paul McCartney so influential in their lives? And she said, mainly because of his guitar playing, but also because he was a vegetarian. And it made me stop and think. I go, really? Really? Kids that young, influential? Really? So I went online and I looked it up. I said, is Paul McCartney influential with the younger generation? Is John Lennon influential with the younger generation? Same with George, same with Ringo. And I went through all these anecdotes and I saw all these kids, all these teenagers, even kids who, in their when they were 10 or 11 years old, even they started falling in love with the Beatles, finding out all about them. We're going to be going to Paul's concert. Me and a bunch of my friends, we really love their music. And then young families in their 20s talking about, we really love the Beatles. And then they've got their 3 and 4 year olds dancing to She Loves You. So I was going, oh my gosh, that is so exciting. And I was just getting, I was getting inspired reading all of these anecdotes because you could just feel the energy. You could feel the love. And I sat there for hours, looking at all of these responses, reading all of these stories because it just goes on and on and on. And I don't know why I don't know why I'm surprised. I shouldn't be, because it reminded me of myself. Because I saw the Beatles on the Sullivan Show, and then, I would listen to them on the radio, and then my family got some records, and then I really got into them later when I was maybe about 9 and 10 years old, and I would listen to the albums, memorize the words, and then I got a little bit older, and I would get my own albums, and me and my friends, we'd get together, and we'd write down all the lyrics in the notebook, and then I'd get the posters, and I'd put all the posters on the wall, and then I'd get the books, and I'd find out all about Brian Epstein, Mal Evans, Neil Aspinall, Klaus Warman, Astrid. I'd find out all about that stuff. It was so exciting. The story's so deep. So it's just like that saying I have about the Beatles, come for the music and stay for the love, because there's just so much. That's what these kids are doing, because they had just started their journey and they're falling in love with the Beatles music, and then they're falling in love with the Beatles themselves and finding out about the men. Like with Paul, he's a vegetarian. He's a genius. He's all about being a Beatles fan. They're all excited about that. John Lennon, he's got that, he's unafraid. He's brave. He wants to kind of change the world. They like that. And with Ringo, he's very energetic, and he did Thomas the Tank Engine, and he does all these different things. It's very exciting to them. And with George, it's that underdog story. They love George's underdog story and his spirituality. So there's something for everybody. And these kids are excited about it. So it's not just about the music with them. Just like with me, it wasn't just about the music. I love these guys. And that's what it was like with everybody. Like with Brian Epstein, he finds out about the Beatles. He wants to know more about them. So he walks down the street to the cavern and he hears the music and he's bopping along a little bit. And all of a sudden he sees them. And he falls in love with him, just like all of us. And that's it, man. And that's what happened with Klaus and Astrid. There they are in Hamburg. Klaus walks in and sees them on stage. He likes the music, but then he falls in love with John, Paul, and George, and eventually with Ringo. And Astrid definitely came for the music and stayed for the love. And same with Mal, same with Neil. And then Derek Taylor, he stayed with the Beatles for a while and even tried to leave the Beatles, but he winds up coming back. There's just something about them. And with that story, my daughter-in-law told me, and then me looking up all that stuff online and all the anecdotes of all these young people saying how much they love the Beatles, going to concerts and wearing, dressing up just like the Beatles, getting Beatle tattoos. Okay. And they're drawing pictures of the Beatles. Like I used to do that too. But these people, they have fan fiction. Now I didn't have that. And then they can go online in these chat rooms and they can share everything and then grow the story and grow their love for the Beatles. So it's just like, the torch is being passed to that younger generation. They're doing it their way, but it's all very exciting. It kind of made me excited for a while, reminded me of my own journey back then. And we are passing the torch, just like I'm no longer allowed to cook Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. That's up to my son and my daughter-in-law now. They want to do it. Okay. I'm not the boss anymore. Okay. I don't make the menu. They cook whatever they want and I just kind of show up. Okay. And that's kind of what it's like for us now when it comes to the Beatles. Like somebody else is in charge. It's all still fine. It's all good. We might not get everything that we want, but it's all just fine. It's all going to work out just great. The torch is being passed. They're the boss now. These kids, they're loving the Beatles in their way. They're loving the music in their way. So the Beatles are going to keep on going on and on. And it really is a joy for me to see that. And so just like it's a joy for me to see, my son and my daughter-in-law kind of, do things their way and have their lives, I'm happy for them. And I'm happy that they're going to, live on and have some of my traditions, in their own life, and these kids, they're probably going to love the same type of music that we want. Maybe some of them are going to want the old versions of the songs. Maybe they don't want the remixes. Maybe some might like the remixes, but then maybe they're going to be cranky just like us and say, hey man, don't touch those original stuff, man. Don't do that. Don't colorize the black and white. Keep it as is. And I bet you anything that's what's going to happen with this generation. They're going to come full circle. Some of them are probably going to be hardcore, just like us. So I think the Beatles and their music are going to be just fine with this younger generation. I really do. And maybe I'm going to get a Lennon tattoo. I just might. What do you think? Anyway, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really and truly appreciate it. And until next time, peace and love one another. And yeah, it is a love that's going to last forever. It really is.
Beatles is Beatles are Beatle, 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 Beatle. In the end, it's like, oh, sod off with the Beatles,
And yeah, my brother gave me this hat and I'm just wearing it.